From training camp.
You guys are fired up and ready to go to work.
To the preseason. Through the playoffs. And into the offseason.
To be able to get the best players, it's a critical time for us.
It's always Colts season. This is Colts Corner with Kevin Bowen.
And we are back. Talking a little Colts training camp. 3 practices in, 3 down, 9 to go. Colts Corner with Kevin Bowen live here to begin your week. As we map out week 2 here of training camp, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, full pads coming on. That makes me very happy. And then, boy, Eddie Garrison, just wild to think we're less than 2 weeks away from the preseason opener. That's coming up a week from Sunday. So we'll break down each of the 3 days so far. Jim Irsay's appearance as well. A couple Twitter questions to get to. And an Adonai Mitchell interview to throw your way. Got some good feedback on the Michael Pittman Jr. one, so thank you guys for checking that out. Adonai Mitchell, enjoyed that. We had him on late last week on the wake-up call here with KB and Andy, so we'll play that for you here coming up. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Did you have a good weekend?
I did, yeah. I mean, there was obviously a lot of Westfield-based activities for me with the Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon practice, but, you know, like I've told you before, I love training camp. I love just starting to get some answers on some things, and it just means you're one step closer for, you know, a huge reason why I do this job, and that's to see him play out on Sunday. So that makes me very, very excited. How about yourself?
Oh, yes. Very limited internet access so over the weekend, so I was playing a lot of catch-up last night, and certainly this morning was in Illinois visiting some of the girlfriend's family on her dad's side. And
nice.
It was a very, very memorable first night there, I'll say that. So I'm not very familiar with the part of town that her dad's side usually goes to every year, and we were one of the first people there, and her grand aunt just got this golf cart, and she was like, you guys want to go, you know, you want to show Eddie around? Because, you know, he's only been here like a couple times, and one of those times being in the summer, the other 2 times being for Christmas. So I was like, sure, why not? And when we go out there, she was like, hey, let's go down this trail. I was like, all right, fine. So we're driving down this trail in this golf cart. Next thing you know, we're stuck in mud.
Whoa.
I was like, hey, and I told her before we got into it, I was like, you probably should not drive through that. And it didn't register with her in time. And so, yeah, I was shin deep in mud and had to call reinforcements for help because the 2 of us couldn't get the golf cart out because it was that stuck. But, yeah. So that was a great start, but overall it was a great weekend.
Look at that. Boy, nothing says, hey, welcome to the potential in-laws one day like that from Eddie Garrison.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, I guess, you know, potentially yesterday I was thinking to myself, we could get stuck in mud at Grand Park, but I was glad that Mother Nature held off. Shout out to Jonathan, listener Jonathan, drove in from Cleveland, Eddie Garrison, to take in training camp practice. You know, those are the people that I just feel awful for when we get this awkward weather. Mm-hmm. Like, if it goes inside, you know, it's what, 600, 700 people instead of the couple thousand that can be out there at Grand Park. So luckily we got rain. We got, you know, fortunate with the Sunday afternoon evening practice, because if we would have had morning practice, that thing would have been certainly moved to the indoor. So shout out to Jonathan. Caught up with him after practice.
Before we get into your notebooks from day 1, 2, and 3, how has the fan turnout been? Because I know this is the first year they've charged for tickets, right? Especially specifically on the Saturday and Sunday practices.
Correct. Yeah, and I mean, I guess I haven't noticed that big of a difference. I haven't heard too much of a complaint. You know, again, that money going to the flag football of League of Indianapolis, so, you know, it's not like it's going to Jim Irsay's pocket, I guess, if you want to get into some technicalities there. But yeah, I mean, I've noticed pretty strong crowds, and I think, you know, I said on last week's podcast, I think the intrigue is real. And it should be. I think for this season, I think there's, you know, real evidence to kind of point to all of that. Okay, let's get into breaking down each day, Eddie. I feel like it's kind of the best way to do it. We'll start with day 1, kind of move our way chronologically through the weekend. And, you know, first day mainly a red zone focus for the Colts. You know, Shane Steichen didn't want to expose people to, you know, long distances on the field. That makes total sense. And, you know, it was a quiet day throwing it 4 of 5. He really had a rough individual period. You know, sailing it over several guys, and I thought, boy, here's an amped up dude getting back into the, you know, swing of things after missing the end of minicamp. But he was, you know, very accurate. Crisp was a word that Shane Steichen used. I thought that was accurate to describe his day 1. And then after practice was probably the headliner, and that was the Steph Curry analogy. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting to me that Shane Steichen used that, because if you go back and you listen to the question, you know, part of my job is like, you know, you sit in these press conferences on a, you know, somewhat, you know, multiple a week, you know, basis. You kind of, you know, you're able to read, you know, people and body language and all of that over the course of, you know, plenty of pressers. And, you know, Shane Steichen reacting in the manner that he did, that was kind of aggressive for Shane Steichen. And again, just compare it to Shane Steichen. You know, it's just not typically his MO. And that sort of comment to me, it was like one of these comments that like you make after the 13th straight day of somebody asking you about Jonathan Taylor's contract. You know, you're just like, I'm so tired of it. You know, here I go, you know, saying something I usually don't say, but whatever. I'm going to show a little bit more of my true emotions here. So Shane clearly like walked into that presser of like, I know I'm going to get asked about this, and I'm ready for it. And I'm going to make a Steph Curry analogy. Now, you know, obviously Anthony Richardson's legs are a weapon. It is, you know, the superpower is what AR calls it. It is certainly a potent element and a huge reason why you drafted number 4 overall. The analogy to Steph Curry's 3-ball, probably not apples to apples.
Yeah, he's not getting hit every time he's taking a 3.
The injury risk slightly different. And so, again, for the millionth time, and I will continue to say it, I have used the phrase limit, not eliminate. And when I say limit, Eddie, I'm literally talking if you removed, I should say, one designed run a quarter. We've done the math before. I hate to do it again. 1 a quarter. That's 4 a game. 4 times 17. Play that out for me.
68.
Here. 68. Okay, let's say he gets hit on 30 of those plays, 40 of them. You know, whatever. He slides, he goes out of bounds on the other ones. However you want to describe that. If I'm taking 40 hits off the dude, maybe more. Let's just call it 40. If I'm taking 40 hits off the dude in a season, what's that going to do to his longevity in his career? What's that going to do to his longevity within a season? Go back to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's been hurt really for 2 of his, 7 seasons in the league, 6 seasons in the league. And if you look at it, when he's been hurt, it's in December. Mm-hmm. That's got to be wear and tear over the course of a season getting to him. So that's where I sit on the Richardson run element. And you just got to go off as the facts we have. The facts we have are he suffered 4 injuries last year. Mm-hmm. 3 of the 4 dudes that injured him weigh 220 pounds or less. So this is not Jarrell Casey at 330 pounds falling on Andrew Luck's shoulder, whatever Jarrell Casey weighs, falling on Andrew Luck's shoulder in week 3 of that 2015 season, where, I mean, there's just nothing you can do. You know, these are design runs. These are not even defensive linemen hitting him, falling on him, however you want to describe it. And I would say one thing I just disagree with based off Jim Irsay's comments yesterday of like, you know, Anthony's got to protect himself, this and that. I'm like, I watch that dude, Ron. I don't see Reckless. Mm-hmm. I don't see Josh Allen. I don't see Will Levis. I don't see Andrew Luck, frankly, in thinking he needs to be this Houdini act, playing him play out. Go back to that Rams game, Eddie. First play of the game. Suffers the concussion week 2, misses the Baltimore game, comes back week 4.
He slides, right?
He slides in the middle of the field. Everybody, Bronx cheer inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. Like, I just didn't see that from Richardson. So I you know, Shane, for lack of a better term, they're going to run him into the ground. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they are afraid or hesitant or nervous. And it sounds different than how you treat a running back. And again, I want to make this very clear. By no means, shape, or form do you eliminate the run threat? Do you take it out of the playbook? Anything like that? Limit, not eliminate. Because by limiting, you still strike the fear into the opponent of, when are they going to dial it up? When are they going to go to it? When are they going to stick it in Taylor's belly? And next thing you know, boom, Richardson's keeping it, and we've got no answer for it. So I just found it interesting that on day 1, he comes out with that. And again, like, I don't even think he was asked like directly about that. He kind of just like in the middle of the answer was like, you know, I get asked a lot about, you know, limiting Richardson's run game. And like, you know, it was like he's talking to a bunch of people in the offseason about it. So yeah, I would say that was probably the biggest news item. Tons of rotation at tight end, tons of rotation at kick returner. I think we have a special teams question we can save for on that. And as training camp moved along, Latu smoking dudes on the left tackle depth chart becomes a common occurrence. He certainly did that on day 1, causing Joe Flacco to sack, which you don't typically see in a red zone drill. Poor Jake Witt trying to block Latu on that. I will say one thing I noticed in listening to Kwity Paye afterwards, that first practice day, he slimmed down, Eddie. Mm-hmm. And I think when you and I have discussed Kwity Paye, one thing I've said to you is I don't see the Michigan testing numbers.
Yeah.
When the Colts drafted him, it was this combination of strength and size. And then, hey, did you see what he did at the pro day? And when I watch him play, I don't see that. I don't see the incredible burst or the quickness or the twitchiness or the bending, however you want to describe what those testing numbers should mean. And Kwity Paye's dropped 10 pounds. He was playing at 270. 270 for a D end in today's NFL? That's a big old D end. So he's down to 260-ish. Felt like he put some, weight back in muscle. It's kind of funny. I think we all have these, shirts in the closet. He showed up to training camp day one, and I'm like, damn, Kwity looks a little slimmer. And I'm like, well, that could be a Kevin Bones special. Kevin Bones got the shirt in the closet. That I'm like, man, that just fits me good. Kind of bring that, okay, yeah, I've eaten pizza for 4 straight days. That thing just fits me good. But then Kwity kind of offered that up there. And so far through 3 days, again, Braden Smith was back on day 3. It was still Blake Freeland taking those team reps as they bring Braden Smith along slowly. But I like what Kwity Paye's done to Blake Freeland. And frankly, he should be doing this to Blake Freeland. So I guess if you've got nothing else, I might just transition to day 2. I
felt like you already kind of did when you brought up Kwity Paye because he was pretty much the headliner of day 2 for you, outside of Latu.
I think the whole D-line was. I mean, it was pick a number. They just feasted on the O-line Saturday morning. The O-line couldn't protect, they couldn't get snaps off correctly, and they couldn't protect without holding. I mean, it was a litany of issues. Richardson was under siege. And again, it was kind of, I'd point to all 4 of those guys. And I don't know if they were planning to do this, but it looked like yesterday on day 3, they had Wesley French in there with the backups at center, and it looked like Tanner Bortolini got some looks on day 3. And I wonder if that was, French was a part of the snap issues, back there on Saturday morning. So, when you talk about this D-line, Eddie, there is so much on their plate. Yeah. I mean, think about it. When your secondary kind of looks like it does, you're naturally going to have a lot on your defensive line. Well, then look at your depth chart up front on that D-line. 4 first-round picks. 2 second-round picks. Mm-hmm. 3 fourth-round picks. A couple fifth-rounders, a couple sixth-round. I mean, there are draft picks galore. Mm-hmm. I want to say it's the 5th most invested money-wise D-line group in the league.
Not to mention you haven't seen a guy that they just signed in the offseason in Raekwon Davis.
That is a good point to bring up as well. Yeah, we have yet to see him in there. Yeah, that might be another second round. Was he a second rounder?
I thought he was a first.
Look that up, because the second rounders are Taekwon and Dio. But now that I think about it, I think Raekwon was in that second round. So, when you think about all that and what you have in the secondary, the lack of secondary experience means you need more out of the D-line.
256, yeah.
For Davis, he was second rounder.
Yeah.
And you don't blitz a whole lot. Again, you add up all that, there's just so much on this D-line.
For some reason, I thought he was like 31, 32 in that range, but I was off there.
All those Alabama D linemen run together at some point there. Yeah. So, it was a great Saturday morning for the D-line. Richardson was fine. He was 4 for 4. It was a heavy run day. They ran it. Well, it was a heavy run day, heavy sack day, I should say. 15 plays for Richardson there on day 2. And then I saw Jelani Woods did have a catch after a drop on day 1. I know he's a name that a lot of people watch. So I was curious then moving into yesterday, Eddie, how the offense would respond. I thought good bounce back from the O-line. The D-line did have a sack early on, but I thought for the most part the O-line did a nice job. Richardson was 7 for his first 7. Blackman picked him off. We'll get to Julian Blackman in just a second. But Richardson, 10 of 11 at one point. I think he ended like 10 of 15, 11 of 16. You can kind of get technical, or you can get a little bit gray area of like what's a sack and what's not a sack. But, sometimes when you see a day of like 11 of 16, I mean, that's a decent percentage. It's a pretty good percentage, honestly, especially for Richardson. Mm-hmm. You can kind of get the notion of like, wait, was it a dink and dunk day? I didn't think yesterday was. I thought he actually challenged some things vertically and made some plays down the field. So I think all in all, you got to be pretty pleased with where Richardson's at through the first 3 days. He's taken all the starting reps. Completion percentage is at a nice number. Again, he's challenged some things vertically. Yeah, I think you got to be very happy with kind of where he's at 3 days into it. Blackman yesterday was so good. I mean, the interception was just, Steichen said it after practice, like that's where I would have thrown it. And Steichen said he went out of his way to congratulate Julian after the play of Julian just reading the quarterback, seeing something in the zone, and making a play. It was funny after the period got over, all of a sudden I see Richardson make his way over the defense, and he wanted to talk to Julian, and I guarantee you he wanted to say to Julian, "What do you see? What did I tip to you on that play?" And if you think about it, Eddie, 16 passes yesterday for Richardson, that's about a half a work. If you map that out in a game, maybe 32 attempts in a game, maybe a little less than that. So in a half of work, Julian Blackman had a turnover, and he also knocked away what would have been a 20 to 30-yard gain for Josh Downs.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. You force a turnover and you take away a chunk play.
Oh, yeah.
In one half of football for a safety, that's big time. So nobody on this podcast needs me to repeat what I think of Julian Blackman, but I had him third on the most indispensable list for a reason. I just think he's so solid. He makes you sleep well at night. The staff loves him as they should. Big year on that 1-year deal for him. A couple other items of note from yesterday, non-Jim Irsay division. Oftentimes we have scuffles in training camp. Oh boy, here we go. And then it gets broken up,
It's like a middle school fight.
Yeah, it gets broken up quickly. Yesterday we had a fight.
Oh, really?
Michael Pittman Jr., Jalen Jones, that was a fight. No shock to anyone that Michael Pittman Jr., no USC pretty boy, was involved in it. And it was juicy. It was good. There was some combat involved before eventually it got broken up there. Typically, wideout DB is what you get on that.
Oh, yeah.
And we certainly got that from him.
Were they both removed from practice at that point?
They actually both stayed in.
Oh, wow.
So, it seemed like, again, with Pittman, I think, and they had, one-on-one reps after that. So
yeah.
I think both of those guys realized it's part of the competitive nature. Now, as Jim Irsay was meeting the media, two things happened. That fight happened. Mm-hmm. And then Samson Ebicom went down. And, I'm probably 80 yards away from it. But, you can kind of see all of a sudden Shane Steichen blow the whistle and move the drill. Never a good sign when the injury is that severe that the guy needs medical attention right there on the field. And, he can't go to the sideline. He can't hobble off. So they move the drill, 10, 20 yards further down the field. It looked like he got carted off. I couldn't kind of see through the, masses of people. And, hell, you've been to Grand Park. It's, 500 yards, 1,000 yards from their indoor facility there. So, calf injury. We'll see about the severity on that. Dayo Adengbo suffered a calf injury on Saturday. He was on a stationary bike, which is a good sign on Sunday, with Raekwon Davis, trying to get that blood pressure to come down for him. So, we'll see about that Ebukam injury and if it was severe or if it's not severe or the severity of that. Obviously, it's a position that has a lot of depth. Now, the immediate backup that went in for him was Tyquan Lewis. Mm-hmm. So, again, this kind of gets into Latu. And Latu yesterday had another play where all of a sudden he's right there. He's in the backfield. And I'm like, wait a minute, who did he do that against? And it was Ryman. And we hadn't seen that yet. A lot of it had been Jake Witt or, tryout left tackles and rookie minicamp.
Blake Freeland, too.
Yeah, Freeland even. And I'm like, oh, wow. I'm ready to see the full pads. I asked Shane something along those lines after practice, and you probably need to watch Shane's kind of facial reaction to get the full appreciation of it. But I think they're all very eager to see Latu in full pads because he has checked the boxes with his, elusiveness, quickness, variety of moves, however you want to describe it, and making some plays without the full pads. And now we obviously get to see that starting on Tuesday. I thought Adonai Mitchell had a couple nice plays. It's been pretty quiet for him and Pierce in the 11-on-11 setting so far. But I thought Mitchell made a couple nice plays in one-on-one. He had a juggling catch with Flacco later on in practice.
Saw a couple clips of him. One was Dallas Flowers that he burned, and then
helmet came off and went nuts with the crowd.
Darrell Baker Jr., the other one?
That was a juggling catch, yeah. Or maybe they were a flip. But, yeah, he had one that he kind of juggled and caught. The other one, he was pretty demonstrative with his emotion there afterward. Made a really nice one-on-one play down the sideline. And I guess lastly, we'll just mention Irsay. Obviously, the first time we've seen him in 9-10 months, something like that. I didn't think he was, it was about 10 minutes of audio and 5 or 6 questions asked. I don't think he was as rambly as he can be. I don't think super hyperbolic in any of the comments. I'm sure you could splice out Jim Irsay training camp pressers in the last every single year and find some sort of quote of this is the best team we fielded in a while.
Well, he did say that.
He did say that.
But he also did say it was like the first time where they feel like they've had a shot realistically since the retirement of Andrew Luck.
I know. And part of me is like, okay, you probably can't go in Irsay presser without a Luck mentioned. And I'm just tired of that, to be honest with you. I'm just, we see Jordan Love and Tua put pen to paper this weekend. I mean, that first draft after Luck retires, Eddie, one of the greatest quarterback drafts we've seen. We've got 5 dudes that have signed $200 million deals. 5 dudes.
Burrow, Herbert, Tua. Who was the other one in there?
Oh, that's the order, and then Love and Hurts.
Yep.
And again, the Colts had the 13th overall pick in that draft, and I'm not, getting Burrow at 1 obviously is impossible. But, whether it's trading up for Tua or Herbert, or certainly more realistically, they were not enamored with Jordan Love. And then Jalen Hurts, there was disagreements with how they viewed them organizationally. That's a missed opportunity of could you have gotten things on more stable ground earlier and not play the Band-Aid game, not play the stopgap game when you knew what was going to be the end goal? You knew that ultimately it was wishful thinking that this was Stafford to the Rams or, Brady to the Bucks or Peyton to Denver. It's just, you didn't have that. So, yeah, I just, Luck, and boy, we're finally past that. It's like, well, again, you've got 5 teams that have all had varying degrees of success. Pretty much all of them have had more success than you have, and they all drafted, rookie quarterbacks in that, year right after Andrew Luck hung it up. But, it was good to see Jim, certainly. I would fully expect some sort of seating arrangement, whether it's a wheelchair or an actual chair for him Saturday night in Canton for Dwight Freeney's induction. Sounds like that left leg is pretty serious, and shoulder surgery and then a fall is how he described it. So I know there's a lot of murkiness in regards to his medical situation, but yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything on and off the field for the Colts.
I do want to ask you about a couple different players here. The first one being Jonathan Taylor. How's he looked? I know that's somebody we haven't talked about.
Yeah, spry. Like Taylor. I mean, again, we didn't see him at all in camp last year, so you're reminded of what he can do. It's tough with these run plays because there can be an arm tackle that, whatever, Zaire Franklin doesn't fully wrap up on just because he's not supposed to have full contact, and then they break it to the second level, and the crowd's like, woo! And I'm like, well, I mean, yes and no, but Taylor looks like Taylor. And you're reminded, especially in that first red zone period, Eddie, on that first day of camp, just how big of a weapon 28 next to 5 will be. And just, you're not going to have, you're going to have a lot of one-on-one moments for defenders to try to wrap up Richardson or Taylor. And if they make that guy miss, there's not a whole lot of flock from a bunch of defenders to be there ready for, clean up on that tackle there. So, yeah, Taylor looking spry.
Second being the cornerbacks. How's that rotation gone about so far?
Kenny, Juju, Jalen, Flowers in that order. Flowers may be starting to creep a little bit more into those starting-ish rotation reps. So, I'll continue to monitor it. But, one thing right now, I'd say quarterback-wise, it's been pretty efficient. So how do you look at that? Do you look at that and say, great job quarterbacks, great job pass catchers? Or do you say, hey, does that mean that our secondary is a little weaker? Now, I don't think guys are wide the hell open by any means. But, I would not have expected Richardson to be whatever he is at this point, 70-something%. I'll have to do my math here. 76. That's a big number. Again, when it hasn't been filled with dink and dunk. So, go back to Bauer's opening day comments. We haven't closed the door on making a move in the secondary. 3 days in, do you still feel that way? Where are you on that? So I just think that's something to continue to watch moving forward.
And then you said it's been relatively quiet for Adonai Mitchell and Alec Pierce. So.
Yeah, 11 on 11 quiet. I would say a little bit more from Mitchell and the other stuff. Pierce, relatively quiet.
So does that mean it's been a lot of Josh Downs?
A lot. I think of the 19 completions so far with Richardson, and again, I'll update this every day on our notebook on 1075thefan.com. I think 6 of the 19 are to Downs. I think Pittman has 3, and then a couple people have 2, and then everybody else just pretty much has 1. So, yes, heavy Josh Downs.
And then just some positional clarity. Jalen Simpson and Jordan Carlisle. I think that's his first name, right?
Jalen Carlisle.
Jalen Carlisle, yeah.
Linebacker. Think competing for a third linebacker. And then Simpson corner. Sounds like they are comfortable with him at safety. Like they know that, but they want to see if he can provide corner flex. And I've noticed him. I've noticed Abraham a little bit as well. Some of the day 3 guys I have noticed. Seems like Matt Gonzalez, mainly second team right tackle. We'll see once Braden Smith gets back fully what that means. Will they flip him to left, move Jake Witt down to get that position flex? Again, I mentioned Bordellini a little bit at center. So, yeah, I feel like that covers most of the rookies. Anthony Gould's had a moment or two.
Ronnie Harrison, where's he primarily been playing?
Which, again, I think, I don't know, maybe people were confused on this, but, I had in my spring depth chart safety. I mean, he was playing safety late in spring. So,
okay.
Rodney Thomas II, maybe a first-team rep or two, but Nick Cross, I think, is still the heavy favorite there.
Okay. Those was a couple that I had because
I'm glad you brought some of those names up because I think those are popular ones that people have asked about.
Yep. Adonai Mitchell time?
Let's head to Adonai Mitchell on first reference, A.D. Mitchell after that, as you'll hear to lead this off. Again, this is A.D. Mitchell with us, the wake-up call late last week.
And welcome back to Grand Park. Practice number 1 complete for the Indianapolis Colts. And joining us right now, he's number 10 in the program. A.D. Mitchell is with us. And I guess I start here. I should call you Adonai, right? On first reference. Is that right?
Sure.
I want to make sure I got this.
Adonai.
Okay, so Adonai on the first
Mitchell.
reference. And then A.D. after that?
Yeah.
Okay, good to go on that end. First practice, and you just had a little extra workout here. Is that pretty typical? I saw you do that a lot in the spring.
Of course. You got to. You can't be too comfortable. There's always somebody out there working, so, you're trying to beat the imaginary man.
Now, we had Latu join us on report day, and he couldn't get over the amount of snacks he had to bring in for the D-line room.
Fact.
What does the whiteout room snack bag look like here?
Come on, man. We got the honey buns. Of course, you got to have the oatmeal cream pies. I just grabbed extra Capri Suns just because, I love Capri Suns. But, yeah, it's all that. We got chips. Really just all the goodies. We're not really too big on candy, but more so the breaded snacks, you know what I mean?
I like the whiteout room better than the D-line room with the snacks.
Yeah, you guys.
Capri Suns on a hot day.
You guys work out so much, you can burn these calories. This would kill someone. This would kill someone like me. I noticed, and tell me if I'm wrong. I noticed you wore your own shirt on check-in day, right?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that from?
My brother.
Okay.
Made it. So I was just out here networking. I'm hollering at the guys like, "Hey, bro, you need one? I got you." So I gotta. We got
a little side business.
Yeah. We got something in the works.
He is A.D. Mitchell. He's with us here live at Grand Park. I want to go back to what I believe would have been your first time inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. What do you remember about that national championship game?
It's crazy because, just coming back and practicing at the facility, we were there my freshman year.
Okay, so with Georgia, you practice here at Grand Park? Okay.
Everything just feel like I just been here before. So it just all feel regular. Yeah. Shout out Georgia, man.
How do you describe 5 college football playoff games and a touchdown in every single one of them?
I say luck, probably.
Do you believe in the clutch gene?
Yeah, of course. But I mean, just being there when the opportunity presents itself, just being able to kind of take that in. So that's really all it is.
You've talked about, I know, through the draft process, both Texas and Georgia helping you get to this point.
Yeah.
Specifically, what did you take from Georgia and what did you take from your year at Texas to get to this point?
For sure. Georgia, everything was hard. Practices was hard. We practiced with the sun being right above our heads every single day, whether it was team run, just off-season workouts, just everything was made to be hard so that, kind of once we got into the game, it was nothing.
Plus Kirby has that defense.
Yeah.
You know that.
Man.
Yeah.
Coach Kirby would be on that microphone going crazy, dog. Legit. It'll be 3 fields. He all the way on field 1, way in the back corner.
He's in Lebanon right now, and we can hear him.
Man. And he just, AD, AD, what are you doing? Like, he see everything. He like the eye in the sky, dog. So, I felt like he did a great job just pushing the guys, never letting people really get complacent, really. That's all the program was about, from Coach Kirby to position coaches to the strength coaches. And then, at Texas, it was kind of the same way. Coach Sark and Coach Kirby definitely have different type of coaching styles. One's an offensive coach, one's a defensive coach.
Right.
It's different things come with that. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things. If you know, you know. But I mean, kind of the same. Like, workouts were hard, but kind of at Texas, I say just coming from Georgia, being at two national championships and kind of coming into a team, I had to learn to buy into the program, buy into to kind of what they was doing. And once I did that, it was just up from there. So I definitely enjoyed both universities, and both universities helped me get here today.
Again, he is A.D. Mitchell. He's with us here live at Grand Park. We had Michael Pittman Jr. join us yesterday. He mentioned he wants your releases. He wants your ability to get off the line and to beat opposing DBs. If I flip that question and said, what do you want to take from Michael Pittman Jr.'s game, what would you say? Hands,
toughness, run after catch ability, everything. Like, legit, like how smart he is. He knows the game. He understands the game. He could talk the game very well. And just right now, really, he's just been a teacher for me. Really, him, really the older guys, not even just receivers, quarterbacks. Like, they've all just been teaching me. I've been trying to take everything away from somebody. Just take something from each person on the team. That's kind of been my goal. And Pitt has definitely bought into the leader role, I'd say.
Now, we know about a little Colts mini camp that Pitt helped organize out in Cali here during the summer break. He brought you out early, is that correct?
Yeah, I called him up one random day. I was like, what you doing, bro? He's like, I'm out here in Cali. I said, I'm pulling up. He said, all right, bet.
What state were you in when you called him?
I was in Texas.
Okay, that's what I figured,
you decided to go out there early.
Yeah.
Why?
I called him just to learn from him. I'm like, man, this dude has been here for, I think, 7 years this year, 7 for him. And I'm just like, man, whatever he's doing, I need to learn that. And I mean, I did just that. Like, I went out there, I saw how he worked. I saw the things he was doing, how he was taking care of his body, how he was putting in work, how he was getting extra conditioning in. And I was like, yeah, like, this is the type of person I need to lean on every day. So,
what A.D. Mitchell with us, what is the thing, whether I listen, it's the little mini camp we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's just a few practices. I mean, obviously out here today, like, already, what's a thing or two that they've kind of showed you, hey, you're going to need to know this, and you go out there today and you're like, yeah, I needed to know that? Is there something already that stuck with you?
Staying locked in. Don't let kind of the day-to-day of everything, because it's going to be a long camp. Especially going from college to the league, it's much longer than college fall camp. And the turnaround is going to be much quicker. Like, I think we got a preseason game, like, somewhere coming up. So the turnaround is going to be a lot quicker. So just staying locked in, buying into everything. Like, try to know the offense and not just know what you have to do, but know the whole offense and why you're doing what you're doing and how you're going to execute it.
2 weeks from Sunday, that first preseason game.
Yeah, it's coming.
Turn
around fast.
Before you know it, just a couple minutes left here with A.D. Mitchell live here at Grand Park. You can hear the chants in the background for A.D. Mitchell's quarterback here, Anthony Richardson. You mentioned you want to take one thing from all these people, wide receiver room. Let's go to your position coach. What's the one thing early on you've learned from Reggie Wayne?
He true to everything he say. Everything he tells you to do, he's done. Like, he'll give kind of small coaching points on different routes that will help you. And it's like, I'll listen to the coaching and I'll watch the film and I'm like, yeah, he right. Like, he's 100% correct. I'd definitely be a fool not to listen to a man like that has done it at a high level, done it at a very elite level, and should be going into the Hall of Fame soon. I've just been blessed to have him as my coach.
A.D. Mitchell with us here on The Fan. You wear number 10. For people that don't know, that's because 10 other wide receivers were taken before you in the NFL draft. You have that chip on your shoulder? Do you still have that chip on your shoulder? It's been a few weeks now since that draft.
Nah, most definitely. I say really the main thing it was for was just for myself, just self-motivation. Just every time I see it, it just let me know that I didn't do enough, really. Once it came down to it, 10 teams chose receivers, and 10 people had me on the board and said, no, we want this guy. So it's more so like okay, if you say you're that guy, you got to be that guy at all times. And if you was that guy, you wouldn't be wearing number 10 right now. So it ain't got nothing to do with anybody else. It's more so just for me. Every time I see it, I'm like, okay, I got something to think about every day.
Just a funny story. We had Coach Jackson on, your wide receiver coach, and he told us, we were asking him about you, and obviously you have been vocal, and other people have been vocal about you going 52nd overall, whatever it was. And he said my wife had to take my phone away that night. He said I was about to tweet some things that were going to get me in trouble. So he backs you. Nick Saban said you were a top 5 wide receiver. Did you hear that? Did you hear that conversation during the draft?
Love. Shout out, Coach.
Yeah, he said no. He goes. A.D. Mitchell should be top 5. That's what he said.
He saw firsthand in the SEC.
Yes, he did.
We'll end with this, and thanks for the time. I know it's been not many months here in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that you've enjoyed doing, or a favorite part about Indy, favorite restaurant, anything on that end, or is it still getting pretty used to life here in the middle of the Midwest?
I say I kind of just moved in. I don't know if y'all seen, but I had my TV and my game system on the floor, and I posted it. I ain't think nobody was going to think nothing of it. But kind of right now, just trying to look around, just find different things to go in the crib, man. But, shoot, food-wise, I say Harry and Izzy's. I've been going crazy on that.
Gotta love that.
Okay. Crazy.
So you're playing the college football game. That's what you mean by that, right?
Yeah.
You're having the gaming system.
Yeah.
So who do you play with? I mean, you played for Texas and Georgia. I mean, you played for one of those or what?
I mean, I haven't really.
It's a big decision.
I'm not gonna lie, man. College football is nothing like Madden.
Okay,
right?
so you're on Madden then.
I'm great at Madden.
Okay.
I am a regular civilian. I'm so pedestrian in college football. Like it's terrible.
A humble thought right there from AD.
So
it is.
You know what I'm saying? I just been trying to grind it out.
You play Madden online?
No.
Okay, I was about to say, because people are going to figure out who you are. Yeah, I was about to say that might be a difficult one.
People too good for me, man. They way too good.
It's sorcery how good they are.
Facts.
It really is.
He is a great player on Madden. He's loving some Harry and Izzy's, and he certainly turned some heads back in the spring, hoping to do the same thing here at Grand Park. AD, congrats, man. I know it's been a whirlwind for you. Thanks for the time, and good luck this season.
Appreciate you.
Boy, he is one confident dude.
Confident, swagger. He's got it. Yeah. He's got that. I love the Michael Pittman Jr. aspect of just wanting to be out there with him early on. So I think fans will enjoy hearing from A.D. Mitchell on a frequent basis.
I loved his comment. I think it was after the first practice where he goes, "Yeah, I think I beat the sun up."
yeah. He's got a little bit of that Texas, just the draw, and I think a few of those kind of sayings and comments. He's just a unique dude. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of him in these 11-on-11 reps here coming up.
3 Twitter questions. Are you ready for them?
I am ready, sir.
First one is a special teams reference that you brought up earlier from Randall. Listen to the Brian Mason camp interview, and he mentioned they could use more defensive starters on kickoff coverage because less running and more potential for returns. What does that mean from a roster building standpoint going forward, if anything?
Yeah, it's a good question, Randall. I don't... using outright starters, I'm still going to be like, wait a minute, you're going to have to show me that. Because, again, you dress 46. I mean, some of these dudes, I think, are built for special teams. Mm-hmm. Some of these, they're really good tacklers. Maybe they struggle more, whatever, in coverage or, things like that. So I don't think it's going to be like literally your 11 defensive starters are out there. I don't know. Maybe there'll be certain instances within a game that you do that. What was wild to me watching the first kickoff return drill early in camp was they literally tried out 12 or 14 dudes at kick returner. I listed them all in the story. I mean, we're talking Kenny Moore. We're talking Alec Pierce. Because some of it is expect a bouncing ball, and ball security matters. So, like, think onside kicks. Who do you put as that onside kick person and who you want to field it? So it's very fascinating to watch the amount of variety of who they tried. Punt return, it's Gould, it's Downs, and it's I think maybe Flowers.
Josh Downs. Yeah.
It's exactly who you would expect to be doing the punt return.
Yeah.
Or it's kick return, it's like, come one, come all. It's like every wideout, every running back, every DB. So, again, watching how all of that plays out. Again, I still don't think you put all your starters out there to cover, but maybe there'll be some like end-of-game situations where you do that.
Have you seen anyone else do the kickoff duties? Because I know, like in Kansas City, they have Justin Reed, and there have been some other teams that have mentioned trying out some positional players just because of the added ability to make tackles in the open field.
Yeah, I have not seen that yet, but I'll be curious. Brian Mason, second-year special teams coordinator, really emphasized how big watching the joint practices will be. Just trying to get some other teams and tendencies and things like that. But yeah, I have not seen that yet.
So you got Brian Mason, former Notre Dame special teams coordinator.
Brian Designsville, baby.
And then you also have a former Notre Dame kicker trying out in camp, right?
Spencer Schrader, part of the undrafted class.
And you're wearing a Notre Dame polo right now.
I'm ready. Let's go. At Texas A&M, week 1, baby. Come on. I can't wait. Playoff
days?
Or bust this year.
How many days, Kevin?
August 31st. So what are we, 33? 32?
I figured you'd have it on like your lock screen. It's like counting down until Notre Dame plays.
Max gets out of the crib and hits play like a champion today.
Yeah. You got the Marshall anniversary date?
What the hell? Why? I don't know why we're bringing that up. There's zero need to bring that up. We have moved on from that. Max Bowen's about to turn 2. Should we get Max Bowen doing his helmets again, or is he getting too old?
Ooh. What was his record last year?
I believe 11-6.
I think we have to do it again just to see if he can sustain it for a second consecutive season.
Should, a 21-month-old be handling that sort of pressure?
I think so. I mean, you put the pressure on him already.
No, I've sold my body. I've sold my 1-year-old. He wasn't even 1, I guess, at times when he did that last year.
Colton is up next. Between Samson Ebukam, Kwitipe, and Laiatu Latu, which pair would you rather have start? If it was me, I'd throw in Ebukam on third downs to see if Pay can take that next jump and start him.
Again, rundowns versus pass downs. No position group rotates more, I think, on game day. Literally the first day, Eddie, it went Ebukam, Pay, Taekwon, and Dio were the backups, and then Latu. So I think when the full pads come on, it's also, how do you hold up in the run game? And if Latu does not start, I am totally good with that. I have seen it so far, without pads on, of course, with the pass rush. So I am, if you want to be a specialty guy, fine. Maybe at some point in your career he'll grow more into that first, second down guy. Maybe we'll see it when the full pads come on. I do think one thing to note, and the Ebukam injury could play into this, Latu can rush both sides.
Mm-hmm.
We have not seen that from Kwity. So how advantageous can that be? Let's say Ebukam for some reason is out for a while. If you wanted to on third down, you could put Latu over on that side and leave Pay opposite right tackles. Whereas, again, I don't think we've seen it yet from Kwity Paye to have that luxury. So I think that's just something to note as well with Latu.
Benji is our final Twitter question, and he states that he thinks the league will be allowing players to wear the padded helmet covers in games. And Kevin, do you imagine many Colts players will wear them in games? Would it be precautionary or strictly after a concussion? How do you think they will affect the game?
Yeah, I don't know, I guess would be my answer. It's probably something I should look into. I would say personally, I'm just curious the future involvement of helmets. How much do we get from a design engineering aspect of helmets and their ability to absorb hits? How much can that positively impact concussions going down?
Yeah.
Now, as weird as this sounds, in terms of the, what are they called? Guardian caps? Is that what they're called?
I think so.
The aesthetic of it. Are they a tad heavier? Again, we're getting into some technicalities here involving concussion, so I get there's a big portion of people are just like, who cares if it's safer? That's the only thing that matters. Technically it wasn't what collectively bargained. If you really want to get into some weeds of it, So I guess those are just things that you have to mention. But yeah, I think it's a good question that Benji asks. I mean,
do
certainly
too.
a lot of players wear it during camp, and not just guys in the trenches.
We've had a lot of good questions the last couple pods.
We've got smart listeners, man. Thank you to all of those out there. Colts Corner with Kevin Bowen here. Again, 107.5 The Fan, Eddie. Notebook recaps daily from training camp. We've got videos that you'll see tweeted out as well. What am I missing?
Will Jonathan India be a Red by the time we do a next pod?
Gosh, I mean, I hate to say it, but I hope not, right?
I hope he is. He's my favorite player.
Gosh,
I love Ellie, but Jonathan's my number one.
I'm in the belief of if you don't have anything, just sell. Are we selling?
Probably.
Those are too hard of questions for me to answer.
Are the Reds sellers?
Stink.
Duh.
The Reds' bullpen effort in preserving Hunter Green the other day just made me want to puke.
I mean, it wasn't the bullpen's fault. It was the catcher's fault.
Well,
If the catcher catches the ball, does his job, then they're not in that situation.
yeah, touche. He's Eddie Garrison. I'm Kevin Bowen. I hate talking about the Reds. Colts Corner with Kevin Bowen signing off. Everybody have a great week. 107.5 The Fan for your camp coverage.